This is Informer News, your voice of the people. Timeline is Sunday, the 6th of September 2015. Welcome along, my friends, to another edition of the Informer News monthly special report. Coming up in this month's broadcast, the Council of Worlds has gone to war against the COVERUP CROUD. Plus, a report claiming President Putin was eliminated and replaced by a duplicate, and it has been confirmed by Putin's wife. Also, Nibiru and the subterranean connection, or better known as the Hollow Earth connection, and another crop circle appears near Stonehenge. But was this man-made or was it an alien crop circle? Okay, into this month's Informer News special report. This first report originates from ZetaTalk.com, the Zeta Talk newsletter, issue 454, Sunday, June the 14th, 2015, titled Council of Worlds versus Space Shuttles. The Zetas announced that the Council of Worlds has gone to war with the COVERUP CROUD when the October the 20th, 2014 date for Obama's announcement was missed, as detailed in this post-shifting blog. Zeta Talk announcement, 11/1, 2014. The Council of Worlds considers this to be war against the selfish elements among the elite who are using their knowledge about the pending passage to retain their privileged positions while preventing the common man from coming to terms with what is in their near future. These elites should expect more than exploding launches in their future. The war was announced with a bang on October the 27th and again on 31st of October 2014 when two launches unexpectedly exploded. Recently, two launches from Russia to send aloft satellites failed dramatically. None of this was due to technical flaws or lack of expertise. The war continues, obviously. Where are the players and what are they doing now? Virgin Galactic started flights into space in 2012, as detailed in issue 371 of this newsletter. Escape into space to avoid having to ride out the pole shift on Earth was the plan, per the Zetas. Zeta Talk Expose, 4th, 21st, 2012. Branson's Virgin Galactic has put into place an escape into space. But as the reality of the debris in the tail of Planet X has emerged in the form of fireballs and large debris, fear has gripped the tender bellies of the wealthy elite. But one thing is clear, the wealthy elite are in the know about the inbound Planet X threat, and you, the common man, are being denied this information. During the dramatic setbacks that followed, with the Council of Worlds delivering an unmistakable message, Virgin Galactic was forced to step back and re-evaluate. On October the 31st, 2014, Spaceship Two exploded over the Mojave Desert, as reported in issue 423 of this newsletter. Zeta Talk Insight, 11/1, 2014. What caused this dramatic explosion? Both Orbital Sciences and SpaceX have conducted successful launches, and the Antares rocket being used is not new. The mission seems ordinary, a resupply operation. This latest launch disaster is a clear and pointed message to the elite to cease their attempt to prevent the common man from knowing what the elite know, that Nibiru has arrived and another passage is pending. The Council of Worlds considers this to be war against the selfish elements among the elite who are using their knowledge about the pending passage to retain their privileged positions while preventing the common man from coming to terms with what is in their near future. These elites should expect more than exploding launches in their future. Where are Sir Richard Branson's plans at present? He announced boldly on May the 4th, 2015 that he was not giving up, but we are still waiting for his next try. Perhaps he is waiting for Obama's announcement, hoping to be in compliance with the Council of Worlds demands. how Richard Branson almost scrapped Virgin Galactic and why he didn't. January the 4th, 2015, as reported on NBC News. In a New Year's blog posting, Virgin Galactic founder Richard Branson says October's fatal breakup of the Spaceship Two rocket plane led him to question whether he should continue with his multi-million-dollar space travel venture. Mojave update. Spaceship Two construction, May the 4th, 2015, as posted on virgingalactic.com. This weekend marked the 6-month anniversary of the tragic loss of Michael Aylesbury during the VSS Enterprise's 55th test flight. Over those 6 months, we made steady progress towards advancing the dream of opening the space frontier, an extremely difficult but also extremely worthwhile endeavour. Elon Musk's plans to escape to Mars have likewise suffered failures, notably the October 27, 2014 explosion at the launch site, covered in issue 423 of this newsletter. Per the Zetas, the Council of Worlds was giving a message that the elite cannot escape to Mars, but must remain on Earth with the common man during the hour of the pole shift. Zeta Talk checklist 8/30/2014. The elite are intent on an escape to Mars, but have repeatedly been told via Zeta Talk, as they were most recently in 2013, SpaceX endeavour, that this goes against an existing Council of Worlds edict that their 2014 launch of a Falcon 9 reusable rocket failed to launch should thus be no surprise. The elite must remain with the common man they so despise during the coming pole shift. SpaceX has had limited success since that dramatic explosion, but look at where the line is drawn. When SpaceX is resupplying the ISS or bringing the goods home to Earth, it is in compliance with the Council of Worlds expectations. It is Elon Musk's attempts to perfect an ocean landing platform that seems to continuously run amok. When it is a clear mission to the ISS, the launch is perfect. When attempting to land this equipment on an ocean platform so it can be reused, it is a disaster. Clearly, the Council of Worlds does not want to facilitate Elon Musk's evacuation to Mars. No reuse of your rockets, Elon. Back home on Earth, SpaceX craft returns from space station May the 21st, 2015, as reported on news.yahoo.com. A SpaceX Dragon capsule is back on Earth with a full load of cargo after a quick trip home from the International Space Station. Awesome. New SpaceX video shows rocket landing, try and crash. April 15, 2015, as reported on space.com, a new video shows the first stage of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket crashing and burning after nearly pulling off an unprecedented touchdown on an unmanned drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. The booster stage attempted the landing after successfully launching SpaceX's robotic Dragon capsule towards the International Space Station on a cargo mission for NASA. Zeta Talk explanation 12/13/2014. On December the 2nd, Orion escaped the explosion that occurred during the Orbital Sciences launch on October the 28th, and in analysing the cargo and intent, it is clear that the Orbital Sciences mission was cluttered with multiple agendas publicly. It was to resupply the ISS, which had until the present been allowed by the Council. It was clear that trying to hide the mission agenda from the Council behind a humanitarian front would not work. Do they think the Council merely reads the news? SpaceX is trying to reduce the mission to a resupply of the ISS and the testing of a new landing method. The Council of Worlds has also been at war with the commercial corporate enterprises to launch spy satellites from Russia. These have regularly and repeatedly been blown up as a message, in fact on an annual basis. due to 2 back-to-back failures recently. These efforts are now halted. Per the Zetas, the Council of Worlds has not been amused. In 2012 and again in 2014, image captures of the launch failures documented the presence of UFOs in the vicinity. Can the message not be clearer? Russia loses another rocket. Agency grounds flights indefinitely. May the 18th, 2015, as reported in the dailymail.co.uk, a Russian rocket has malfunctioned and burned up over Siberia just weeks after another of the agency's rockets failed on its way to the ISS. The Proton M rocket had been carrying a Mexican satellite but failed just 497 seconds after launch, causing both the rocket and satellites to be lost. All flights of Proton rockets are now grounded indefinitely, which is said to be leaving satellite manufacturers with up-and-coming launches planned nervous. The failure comes just a few weeks after a Progress M27M cargo ship malfunctioned on its way to the ISS on 28th of April on a Soyuz rocket. Zeta Talk Insight 5/23/2015. Back-to-back failures of Russian launches have at least temporarily closed down launches hosted in Russia or using this Russian technology. On April 28th, a cargo ship to resupply the ISS failed, and on May the 15th, a launch of a satellite designed to provide internet services to Siberia failed. These launches have been challenging the Council of Worlds repeatedly. In 2011, the issue was challenging the quarantine between the Anunnaki and mankind. In 2012, 2013 and 2014, and again in 2015, it was to spy on migrations or on the locations of survivor camps in Siberia. In 2012 and 2014, photos of the shoot down of the launches showed the UFO responsible for the disaster, but still Russia persisted. Why? There are former members of Majestic 12 in the US, guided by service-to-self aliens, who also defy the Council of Worlds. These elite are persistently trying to establish camps on Mars, where they have been told they can ride out the pole shift on Earth and return as kings afterwards. This is not Obama's agenda, nor are the Russian attempts Putin's agenda. These are corporate, non-state efforts, seductive promises by service-to-self aliens, play to the desire of souls on Earth to have control over others for their benefit. Among the service-to-self, this is a driving motive when charming victims in order to manipulate them does not work. The service-to-self will turn to brutality. For the Russian launches, those trying to run Siberia in the aftertimes like a slave camp under their control have not given up because it is not their money being wasted, and because they are arrogant and think if they just change their approach in some way, they will be able to trick the Council of Worlds. The Council is not amused. This following report was posted on worldtruth.tv, titled "The Elite Kill Putin." Lyudmila Putin, my husband, was assassinated and is dead. Last year, worldtruth.tv published an article titled "New World Order Attempted Assassination of Vladimir Putin, but got the wrong plane." I got a lot of slack for publishing the truth. Now the elite have completed their agenda. They actually got to Vladimir Putin and he was killed and replaced with a body double. The German newspaper Die Welt published a sensational interview with former First Lady of Russia, Lyudmila Putin. My husband, unfortunately, has long been dead. I have to admit it publicly because I could no longer see what is happening on his behalf. It's terrible, people. They did not stop at nothing. I am afraid that now they will kill me and daughters as well as killed him. Our family was not exactly perfect when I got married. I was in love with an intelligence officer, but the reality was quite different. Putin was a vile, cruel man, a tyrant. He never considered me, simply did not notice my existence. I needed it only for reference and the composition of the family as a mother for his children. I find it hard to talk about it, but Putin beat me, humiliated me, fun of me. Life with him was torture. I tried to fight, not just going to file for divorce, but this man did not have anything sacred to silence me. He handed me over to a psychiatric clinic. I went through all the circles of hell, narcotics, psychotronic substances, bullying. For a long time I was locked up in prison, and I never saw sunlight, never seen people. I still remember it with horror. But that began after his death. All is beyond description. He was then a different person. I'm sure he did not tell. I became even more withdrawn a month before the death of the night. Without warning, they brought my daughters. And then he was gone completely. At night, he came home. Some people, some of them I knew, someone saw the first time, break everything upside down. He reviewed all the papers. All the walls in the house rattled. They told me only one thing: if you want to live, be silent. All questions about her husband briefly replied that he would soon come, that he important retreat, and in interest of national security is not worth it to me with anybody to discuss. A few days later came his first understudy. Later I learned that the murder of Vladimir prepared ahead of time. It eliminated when the first twin was almost ready to take his place. Outwardly, he was of course very much like Putin. I was impressed, but it was a completely different person. They somehow managed to track down the girls, and I was given an ultimatum: play the role of devoted wife, or me or daughters no longer live. I had no choice. I first tried to avoid public events, corrosive media attention, intrigue and gossip. All this sickened me, but I pretend to be the wife of another man was even worse. So they prepared a double for me. If they had time to bring my double to more or less successful similarities, would have killed me long ago. Miraculously, we managed to escape. For obvious reasons, I cannot call the people who have helped us to stop this terrible dramatization and escape. Divorce was my deliverance. Now I live abroad. I'm fine, but I'm afraid to see what is happening with Russia. So, if that report is correct, it confirms what the Voice of the People has been reporting, that President Putin had been eliminated and replaced by an alien-human hybrid or a clone of the original. This next report originates from bibliotecappliedis.net, titled Nibiru and the Subterranean Connection by Greg Jenner from Dark Star website. According to my subterranean research, there was a vast global ancient underground tunnel system built by giants before the flood of Noah. This tunnel system is no doubt derelict in some areas and has been obliterated over the millennia by earthquakes due to plate tectonics. But from what I have been investigating, some areas are still intact and possibly operational. I am documenting all this because I think there is a direct correlation between the passing of Nibiru and the subsequent underground activities of the giants. Call it survival mode if you like. For the remaining Nephilim, their descendants were not wiped out after the flood caused by the Dark Star, and the only way they could survive was to occupy the subterranean realm. From the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Giants, for instance, gives tantalizing clues as to the giants' connection with the Inner Earth. In particular, these two verses which state the following: in them, then Oya, below the earth, GJ, said to Ea, his brother, on top of the earth when they bowed down and wept in front of Enoch, 4Q203, 4QEN, Giants AR. And they knew the mysteries great in the earth the giants, 1Q23, 1QEN, Giants AR, like any occupied territory or country. Though this is where it gets complicated, there seems to be malevolent groups, races, vying for dominance within the earth. On the other hand, benevolent group races have chosen to segregate from the original Nephilim race and go it alone into remote obscurity. The question is, will one of these subterranean races ever interact with humanity once again in the future? The evidence of giant descendants within the Earth. Over the years I have acquired a few volumes of data in the form of newspaper reports, magazine articles and old books indicating for me the best evidence to date, so here is a small list in chronological order. Exhibit A. Subterranean Crypts and Temples, Encyclopedia of Occultism and Parapsychology, 1991. There is an interesting account that I have already emailed you from Dr. Plott's History of Staffordshire, written circa 1700, of a farmer who stumbled across an underground Rosicrucian crypt occupied by a subterranean dweller who was reading a huge ancient book of knowledge within the stone vault. Exhibit B. C. Nelson Stewart, Man, Myth and Magic, 1995, titled Subterranean Races. The Great Mammoth Cave in Edmonson County, Kentucky was discovered only in 1809. Bodies of an unknown race reputed to antedate the Indian giant descendants were found in its recesses with reed torches beside them, but all crumbled to powder when touched. Volume 18, page 2494. William George Emerson, The Smoky God, 1908. An account of father and son Swedish fisherman Jens and Alfons Jansson that penetrated into the inner world in August of 1829, encountering giants and learned about their way of life. Alfons Jansson swore on his deathbed near Los Angeles, California, that it was true. On the third day, northeast of Franz Josef Land, we came to an unknown island. Its shores were washed by an open sea. My father determined to land and explore for a day. This new land was destitute of timber, but we found a large accumulation of driftwood on the northern shore. Some of the trunks of the trees were 40 feet long and 2 feet in diameter. Page 66. Ferdinand Ossendowski, Beast, Men and Gods, 1922. The immense craft paused and almost immediately a boat was lowered and 6 men of gigantic stature rowed to our little fishing sloop. They spoke to us in a strange language, page 95. I have since discovered that the language of the people of the inner world is much like the Sanskrit, page 110. If my father and I were curiously observed by the ship's occupants, this strange race of giants offered us an equal amount of wonderment. There was not a single man aboard who would not have measured fully 12 feet in height. They all wore full beards, not particularly long, but seemingly short-cropped. They had mild and beautiful faces, exceedingly fair with ruddy complexions. The hair and beard of some were black, others sandy, and still others yellow, page 98. Each one seemed to vie with the others in extending courtesies and showing kindness to us, but all laughed heartedly. They were richly attired in a costume peculiar to themselves and very attractive. The men were clothed in handsomely embroidered tunics of silk and satin and belted at the waist. They wore knee breeches and stockings of a fine texture, while their feet were encased in sandals adorned with gold buckles. We early discovered that gold was one of the most common metals known, and that it was used extensively in decorations, page 100 and 101. This tunnel vehicle was doubtless some electrical contrivance. It was noiseless and ran on a single iron rail in perfect balance. The trip was made at a very high rate of speed. The car seats were huge, very comfortable affairs, and very high above the floor of the car. On top of each car were high gear flywheels lying on their sides, which were so automatically adjusted that as the speed of the car increased, the high speed of these flywheels geometrically increased. Page 111. S.A. Jordan, Arizona Gazette newspaper, Monday, April 5th, 1909. A brilliant article. Unfortunately, the Smithsonian Institute has since covered it all up. Nevertheless, this article is real, and it got me on my research quest into the subterranean realm. Headline: Exploration in Grand Canyon. Mysteries of immense rich cavern being brought to light. Jordan is infused. Remarkable find indicates ancient people migrated from the Orient, migrated underground from Central Asia. GJ. Nearly a mile underground, about 1,480 feet below the surface, the long main passage has been delved into to find another mammoth chamber from which radiates scores of passageways. Like the spokes of a wheel, several hundred rooms have been discovered, reached by passageways running from the main passage, one of them having been explored for 854 feet and another 634 feet. The recent finds include articles which have never been known as native to this country, and doubtless they had their origin in the Orient. War weapons, copper instruments, sharp-edged and hard as steel, indicates the high state of civilization reached by these strange people. So interested have the scientists become that preparations are being made to equip the camp for extensive studies, and the force will be increased to 30 or 40 persons. Before going further into the cavern, better facilities for lighting had to be installed, for the darkness is dense and impenetrable for the average flashlight. In order to avoid being lost, wires are being strung from the entrance to all passageways, leading directly to large chambers. How far this cavern extends, no one can guess, but it is now the belief of many that what has already been explored is merely the barracks, to use an American term for the soldiers, and that far into the underworld will be found the main communal dwellings of the families, and possibly other shrines. The perfect ventilation of the cavern, the steady drought that flows through, indicates that it has another outlet to the surface. To view the full transcript, go to my website endtimes23.com, where I've posted a link. There's a live link to my website near the end of this video. And finally, a crop circle has appeared near Stonehenge, Wiltshire in the UK. This report was posted on zonnews.com. A mysterious crop circle has appeared in a field just off the A303, around 1 kilometre from Stonehenge. The images were captured by Mr. Crow, a website that publishes drone videos of the mysterious shapes. Since the 1960s, the phenomena has been cited as evidence of the existence of extraterrestrials, but sightings of irregular crop patterns date back to as early as 1600s. The team at Mr. Crow, however, have an alternative theory about these particular curved crop shapes. Are these circles mysterious? In our opinion, no, they're not. They say in a blog post linked to the video, while the patterns are distinctively alien looking, there are a few sound reasons why they probably aren't. We tend not to wade into the whole theory of how the circles are made. Occasionally, however, we do like to dip our humble photographers' toes into the pool of the bizarre, mysterious and damn right insane, and this is one such occasion where we feel we would like to offer an opinion. They write, they say the wonky lines are one reason to discount the possibility of alien involvement. Firstly, if the aliens were able to travel all the way to southern England and felt inclined to leave us a message in the form of a crop circle, you'd think that they would be able to keep the straight lines of the formation. Well, straight. Let's look at what we're talking about. The Stoford circle. It is very uneven and messy. Look for instance along one of the lines and see how wonky it is. We think that the two designs were produced by men, they said. Very talented men with interesting design ideas that translates very well into pleasing crop circles that people enjoy photographing and analysing. We think that these men work very closely with a crop circle photographer with the aim of delivering designs as and when they are required. Wiltshire is home to Stonehenge, a circle of intricately balanced stones which have stood on the hills surrounding Amesbury for thousands of years. Its original purpose still baffles experts. So the big question is, was it man-made or alien-made? You decide. Okay, my friends, you're all invited to join this channel by subscribing to End Times 23, which is a totally free subscription service. You're also invited to add me as a friend on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and join my Google Plus timeline. All this week's news links can be found on my website, endtimes23.com. There's a live link near the end of this video. Well, that's your lot for this month's Informer News special report. So until next month, at the same time, this is your Informer signing off. Friends, I'll see you on the flip side. Monthly special reports. Coming up in this month's broadcast, the Council of Worlds has gone to war against the COVERUP CROUD, plus a report claiming President Putin was eliminated and replaced by a duplicate, and it has been confirmed by Putin's wife. Also, Nibiru and the subterranean connection, or better known as the Hollow Earth connection, and another crop circle appears near Stonehenge. But was this man-made or was it an alien crop circle? Okay, into this month's Informer News. Satellites failed dramatically. None of this was due to technical flaws or lack of expertise. The war continues, obviously. Where are the players and what are they doing now? Virgin Galactic started flights into space in 2012, as detailed in issue 371 of this newsletter. Escape into space to avoid having to ride out the pole shift on Earth was the plan, per the Zetas. Zeta Talk Expose, 4th, 21st, 2012. Branson's Virgin Galactic special report. This first report originates from zetatalk.com, the Zeta Talk newsletter, issue 454, Sunday, June the 14th, 2015, titled Council of Worlds versus Space Shuttles. The Zetas announced that the Council of Worlds has gone to war with the COVERUP CROUD when the October the 20th, 2014 date for Obama's announcement was missed, as detailed in this post-shifting blog. Zeta Talk announcement, 11/1, 2014. The Council of Worlds considers this to be war against the selfish elements among the elite who are using their knowledge about the pending passage to retain their privileged positions while preventing the common man from coming to terms with what is in their near future. These elites should expect more than exploding launches in their future. The war was announced with a bang on October the 27th and again on 31st of October 2014 when two launches unexpectedly exploded. Recently, two launches from Russia to send aloft This is Informer News, your voice of the people. Timeline is Sunday, the 6th of September, 2015. Welcome along, my friends, to another edition of the Informer News.